I sit alone a-dreaming of days gone by, love, to me so dear. There's a picture that in fancy oft appearing brings back the time, love, when you were near. It is then I wonder where you are, my darling, and if your heart to me is still the same. For the sighing wind and nightingale are singing, are breathing only your own sweet name, your name, sweet Adeline, my Adeline, my Adeline. At night, dear heart, for you I pine, for you I pine. In all my dreams, your fair face beams, your fair face beams. You're the flower of my heart, sweet Adeline, sweet Adeline, my Adeline. And my dear heart, for you I pine. In all my dreams, your fair face beams. You're the flower of my heart, sweet Adeline. You're the flower of my heart, sweet
And that was Sweet Adeline from back in the Roaring Twenties. Sorry about that tech glitch there. I hope we got you all back. We're still here, me and Terry. Terry, when was this? Tell me about where you were in barbershop when this happened.
Probably in my early 20s. I joined when I was 17, so I'm sure it took at least a good 3 years to nudge up and to sing in an actual quartet. There was, I was scared to death. It didn't look like it on that video. I looked very calm, cool, and collected, but I can guarantee you the butterflies were flying around there.
Sure, and that I think that stands to just your showmanship in general. To be honest, I mean, yes, you looked calm, cool, and collected on your first time in a quartet number,
But I
because
wasn't.
that's just who the showman you are. That's just what you do.
Yeah.
I think you've
Yeah.
always just been that guy, which kind of led to some things, right? That like you've been that guy for Gateway for a while, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, probably since I walked in the door.
Sure.
Somebody who's young and I just was in awe, and I wanted to do it probably 3 years before I think 13, 14,
Right.
but we really didn't know anyone. I shouldn't say that, I should back up. My mom was a Sweet Adeline, so I kind of knew barbershop and I really enjoyed it. So I just had to wait till I was old enough to be able to go away and do it myself. And I finally joined my senior year at Elder, and here I am 41 years later.
And here you are. I 41 years later. That's crazy.
41 years later.
Back then I was
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But I gotta say that video. Now, people who know you probably picked up on this. That video some things have changed since then, right?
Well, besides the weight, that's one.
That's
The other thing,
not what I was talking about.
singing a different part was another.
Oh no,
I
no,
was,
no, no!
I was a baritone for years.
No, I was talking about the stash. It looked great, man. You should bring it back.
I've never been lacking in the hair department, that's for sure.
Wow, I don't know what you're talking about. That's. Alrighty. Well, Terry, what do you say we hop into this next clip? Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Alrighty. This next one, we're actually gonna show Terry off just a little bit more. This was a show from a long time ago that looks like it was from a longer time ago than that, and you know what? Let's just leave it at that.
Yes, Mr. Stone. Professor, you know what I think? I think in a million years from now, man will be more advanced than he is today. That is certainly an astute statement coming from you, Mr. Stone. It is very likely that he will be so. Just notice how much advancement we have had since our ancestors. So therefore, Mr. Stone, what do you guess will be some of men's advances a million years from now? Gosh, I don't know. I think in a million years from now, man will have water come to his cave instead of having to go fetching. What now? I also think man will be able to harness the sun and light up the night. Who knows? Someday man may be able to fly.
And that was a song that was sung by cavemen. So I'm sure anybody who's watching this program at least knows that that is a parody that we decided to do as cavemen. I say we. I don't think I was alive when this one was done. So first of all, tell me about this show and your involvement in it specifically. You were a character. You had stuff to do.
I did. I had a part. They actually gave me a part to talk. Actually, I've been in many shows, many of the productions.
Sure.
Never had huge roles, which is sort of by my choosing because I'm not one to learn a lot of lines. So
lines are hard.
But you can see
that's why this show isn't scripted.
how crazy our shows are. I mean, that's just a typical. There's so many good ones that come to mind. That you know, this is just one more.
Do you have any favorite roles that you've done?
Probably my favorite role was probably in there was a show that we did. I had to play the Steve Martin. I told you earlier, I don't remember names of any of the shows. Sorry.
It's totally fine.
The way I am. I had to play like a Steve Martin character in the
Okay.
but he was, just the wild and crazy kind of guy. That was kind of fun.
That sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, it was fun.
And
Probably
you've
before
been
your time also.
probably well, to be fair, Gateway's been around for what 60, 70 years going on, and I've only been alive for 27 of them. So yeah, most things of Gateway are before my time.
Before you.
Right. So tell me real quick. So you've done some onstage stuff. You've done a lot of singing. You've done a lot of performing. But you've also been a pretty integral part of the behind-the-scenes Gateway stuff, as you mentioned early on. The thing that sticks out in my mind is all the work you did on costuming and stuff. Talk about that for a second.
I've always kind of like had an interest sort of in that anyway. But just like perfect example was the caveman. I was dressed as you could, I don't know if you could tell it in the video, but that was sort of like a suit. There was lapels and I was the smart one in the whole group. Of course, I was perfect person for that role.
I think you were. You're a smart guy.
We had Jean Finley at the time doing our costuming, and she worked a lot with Bill Harness. She did our sets, and they all worked for King's Productions. Jean did sewing, and I'm telling you, they were just nothing but professional and fun to work with.
Sure.
Learned a lot. And then we rolled on a few years, and then Betty Ramsey, after Jean passed away.
That's right.
Betty Ramsey took a big interest, and so we together, I guess, you just have to know how to get things passed through the board. So she always needed an ally. So we would always have our whole plan together, what we wanted, and we typically got what we wanted. Most directors were like, "I love it, let's go." So I
love that we just created like the mafia of Gateway costuming.
Kind of was. I know.
It's like listen.
Betty got it all done. She was awesome.
Look, I know you want these costumes, right? But here's what I'm. That's all that I heard from that. So which of the costuming which of the shows did you do costuming for? What do you have like a favorite of those, like some of the bigger ones?
My favorite, and I really had nothing to do with it because I was brand new, was my very first show, and it was a show about Ireland and how we took all the green out of Ireland. And we had an old Gateway outfit, which you probably have seen with the sort of stretchy 60s pants with the stretchy green vest.
Sure.
And we had like breakaways that were all white, so we turned into white after it was an awesome show. I mean, I was there to stay. Totally.
That does sound pretty cool. And so now, talk to me a sec. So when you did costuming, it wasn't just for our shows. You had a hand in some of our contest costuming as well, yeah?
Several.
So
Betty, let me reiterate. Betty,
go ahead.
I just sort of went and helped her search, although that's a big job in itself because you got to find it. We've got sizes from super duper large to children and everything in between. So you got to find something that's affordable. Yeah, exactly. So you got to find something affordable that looks good, that's stagey. The green sequin coats. That was Betty and myself.
I was just about to say, whose idea was that?
Ours.
That's a big one.
That was the Marquee Quartet inspiration, though. Remember when they had their shiny?
Yep.
And that's why we found this material, fell in love with it, and she was smart enough to buy it all, which was a lot. And we had those. Actually, each was made for each individual member, and finally ran out of material 10 years later. We use that coat a lot.
Oh yeah, dude. That was my first Gateway uniform, and until the most recent switch, that had been the only Gateway uniform I'd ever had. And God, I love those jackets, man. They were look for any of you like diehard long-term Gateway fans. Those things were comfy.
Yeah,
they were awesome. I love that thing. And you just the whole time before the show, you're just doing this.
They really held up well too. I mean, man. For all the years, they still look good to this day.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, you want to get on to this next one?
Sure.
So this next clip is actually a guest performance. One of our new members, Joe Hunter, has been a quartet guy all of his life, or at least a majority of it. At least that's what I'm going to tell you, whether I'm right or wrong. Joe was on the show before. Definitely go check that out if you can find it. But this was one of his quartets from back in the day. Please welcome 4 Under Par.
Woo!
Smile. Smile when you roll out of bed. Roll out of bed in the morning with a great big smile and a good morning. Get up with a grin. There's a new day tumbling in. Wake with the sun and the rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo like the rooster used to. How can you go wrong if you roll out of bed with a song? Do you sing a song in the shower? Vocalize a glad refrain. When you sing a song in the shower, all your troubles go bubbling down the drain. Coffee and rolls with your honey turns a gloomy day to a day that's sunny. You'll find it worthwhile if you roll out of bed with a smile. Do your singing in the shower. Doodly vocalize a glad refrain. When you're sing a song in the shower. All your troubles go bubbling down the drain. Coffee and rolls with your honey turns a gloomy day to a day that's sunny. You'll find it worthwhile. If you roll out of bed with a smile, darn you smile, just roll on out of your bed with a smile, darn you smile.
And that was 4 under par with Roll Out of Bed with a Smile. Yeah, woo! Good job, guys. That was from a long time ago, but still good job. That was great. Terry, what do you think, man?
I absolutely love 4 Under Par. They are the first quartet that I saw that was a comedy quartet.
Sure.
And that were truly funny. I mean, and could sing. So
oh, sure.
You had all this together. It was like, oh my gosh. I just think it's hard enough just to sing in a quartet, but then to be funny on top of it, and truly be funny and not,
right, not just funny looking.
There's a fine line, but they're just so talented, so fun.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't wait to see them.
Yeah, man, and hopefully we get some requests for Joe to send me some more 4 Under Par footage. So, talking about quartetting a little bit, you mentioned in the first segment there that the chorus kind of pushed you into the whole quartetting thing, but again, as long as I can remember, you've been a quartet guy. So tell me a little about your quartet history.
I did. It took me years to get into a quartet. Actually, it's when I finally switched to bass. But I guess I kind of took it serious, and we found 3 other people, and we formed at a Gateway rehearsal called Forte, and we just started working all our kinks out and started going to contests, and we placed last twice in a row, but we decided that we were not as bad as that score was. We were better than that, and we just needed to get out and do it more. So we did, and we jumped from last to 8th place. So we made the top 10 and sang 4 songs and consistently stayed up there. Actually, and finally, we made it all the way up to 3rd place, which is, for we were considered a novice quartet at the time. So
sure.
I think it's persistence, and it's getting out and singing for anybody who will listen. That's kind of what we did.
and I got to stop you for a second. I had a lot of respect for Forte. First of all, when I was first coming around, I knew you guys. You were like the Gateway Quartet. There's a Gateway thing happening. Okay, Forte's going to sing. Like that was a thing. And you guys actually, I want to give you a little toss here. You guys actually saved my butt one time. In the first iteration of my quartet, the very first quartet, second quartet that I'd ever been in, we were called to do a show that you guys were into. It was a strolling gig, right? So we were just going to be walking around and singing. And our lead at the time wasn't able to make it, and we were like, paid gig, we want to do it. So we got a backup, someone who just knew our songs was going to fill in for us. And we were excited about doing it. And the day of, he called us and said, guys, I'm sick. I can't do the show. And so we were just in I was in a I got this call right before church. So I'm sitting in church like, God, please give me an answer. God, please give me an answer. And finally it was either my sister or my dad, I don't remember who, was like, Forte is doing the slot just before you guys. Call them. I'm sure they'd be willing to stay for the second slot. And I called, and you did, and you're my saviors. I love Forte. You guys are fantastic. So where'd you go from there?
We went from there. Then I went to a quartet called Velocity, which were some of the same members. And we again placed consistently like in the top 5. I think our highest was 3rd also.
Sweet.
At the district contest level.
Good.
So yeah, it's been, I have to say, probably one of the most rewarding parts of barbershopping has been quartet gigs, things that we've sung for. Of course, the chorus is very important to me, and you would think international contest winning would be my most important thing, but it really wasn't. These little, when you, I guess, make an impression on somebody, and that this has like changed them for a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a cool thing.
And that's the thing that's so crazy about, I think about barbershop in general, that maybe people outside of barbershop wouldn't really understand, is that, first of all, barbershop is, in my opinion, the most difficult style of music to master, let alone perform. And when you're in a quartet, you and those other 3 guys, there's just a bond that you get in there that you just don't get in other places.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, man.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And you all have to be healthy at the same time. So if you have just one voice, it's like, and the 3 are worried about the one, and there's a lot that goes into it for sure.
Oh yeah, a lot of practice, a lot of work, a lot of trust, all that stuff. Yeah. So tell me something, Terry. Got any quartet plans in the future?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, folks. If anyone's looking for a baritone or a bass.
Sadly, I qualify for the senior contest, but don't tell anybody. I don't know.
You know what? I don't know how to tell you this. I think they're going to hear. All right. Well, speaking of quartets, Terry, do you want to go on ahead and get into this last clip of the night?
Yes.
So,
let's do it.
You actually probably know more about this than I do. So let's play it and chat a little bit. This is a clip from Gateway's show back in the early 80s. We did a rendition of the HMS Pinafore. And that was Buttercup. Now, so that show specifically, that was one of the shows where we teamed up with a women's chorus, and this chorus was Seven Hills, which I think you're familiar with. So since you know more about the clip than I do, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what they just watched?
Well, what you just watched, the quartet that was singing was called Changing Times, and I might be a little partial. My mother was the tenor of that quartet. But very good friends, Lead singer was Joyce Dahl. Baritone was her sister, Jill Allgaier. And the bass, who was my mom's best friend to this day and basically part of our family, is Barb Phillips. We did the show in the early 80s. It's right after Seven Hills won their international contest, so they were hot and heavy. Tom Gentle was just directing Gateway, I think, or I'm not sure. It might have been a transition period, but this did my heart really good. I really enjoyed seeing this clip because, you know, back then from the 80s, we don't have much, you know, but our memories, and sometimes when you get older, that fails. So that was amazing.
And this brings up a pretty good point too. So your mom was the tenor of that quartet.
Correct.
And you, in terms of your barbershop history, you didn't actually start with the Barbershop Harmony Society, or back then Spebsqua. You started your barbershop upbringing with the Sweet Adelines, yeah?
That's correct. I was 4, I think, when my mom joined, but I have 8 brothers and sisters, so there were 9 of us.
Sure.
And I used to tell that at quartet when we'd do jobs, when people would say, oh, I don't have time for barbershop. I don't have time for that. And I said, you know, my mother raised 9 kids, and actually we're all doing pretty well. I said, she found the time. You need to talk to her.
There is always time for barbershop.
There is.
So talk to me a little bit now, kind of the difference that you might have felt when you went from, certainly when you were being brought up with the Sweet Ads, it was more of a watching and learning sort of situation, and then in transitioning to BHS, you were now a participant. How did that feel? What was the difference between that?
I have to say I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it, and I watched it. I was involved, you know. I just I don't know. I loved it all. I mean, I was one of those red hot members that came in and just, you know, loved it. And I think it showed when I sang, and I think that's probably why people went, you know.
And you
I loved
probably
it.
came in with, you probably came in at a little bit of an advantage because, you know, unless you're a barbershop brat like myself, your experience with barbershop when you joined is probably pretty low. Yours was not. No. You were in it.
Yeah.
And was that, and you said you were about 4 when she joined?
When she started at 4. And my mom, the way she funded to this organization, she sang quartets all the time. So, I mean, she happened to get in a quartet that was pretty good. Ruth Dahl was her lead, which is Joyce and Jill's mother. Gotcha. And then Barb was the bass. They were Silver Sounds, and they won. So Ruth was a queen of harmony. So, I mean, for anybody to sing with a queen is like, especially a queen that's a lead.
Oh, sure.
Know, that's like a huge start right there. So, yeah, that's kind of what I was used to. Although I knew, you know, she was certainly familiar with the men's, you know, the good men. Oh, because we had lots of good men's quartets back then. So we were familiar. I was familiar with that, but, and I knew it was a lot similar kind of performances, you know, similar kind of energy. They went the same kind of things. And I knew that I would like it. I knew I would. So, still here.
So real quick, just to kind of close this out, does that make you a prince?
Not bad.
Is this the first royalty we've had on the show? Should I be bowing to you? Is that what we're doing here?
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for our show today. Big thanks to Terry Healy for joining us.
Oh, great. Thanks so much, Zach. This was really, really fun. Thank you.
Wouldn't have had it any other way, buddy. I'm Zach Coleman. Remember, if you like the show today, please leave a like on this video and the last one if you'd like. Subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for everything that we got coming forward. On behalf of the Southern Gateway Chorus, have a great week.
May the road